Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're pulling up a stool at that famous Boston bar.
Ah, cheers.
Exactly. We're exploring George Wendt and, of course, his creation, Norm Peterson.
Such an iconic character.
Great. And our sources give us this really great look into how it all came together. But here's the kicker, and maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Norm was basically supposed to be, well, furniture.
It's pretty wild, isn't it? Just a background guy.
Yeah.
And he turns into this absolute legend of television. So our mission today really is to unpack that. How did that magic happen?
From the background to the spotlight.
Exactly. From creation to, his lasting impact. We've got some fun behind the scenes stuff too.
Okay, let's do it. So picture this. 1982, James Burrows, Glenn Charles, Les Charles. They're putting Cheers together.
Building that world.
Right, building the bar, the atmosphere, and they need regulars, the familiar faces you'd see in any neighborhood joint.
And that's where George Wendt steps in.
Yeah.
Initially just one of those faces, part of the texture, you could say.
But apparently right away, there was something different.
Yeah, stark. You hear that mentioned. Even early on, his presence just sort of popped. The writers noticed pretty quick.
And then came that joke, the first big one.
Oh, yeah. Women can't live with him.
Pass the beer nuts. Deadpan. Perfect.
And shit just landed, didn't it?
Totally. It was like, bang, okay, that's Norm. His whole vibe right there.
And the delivery was key.
Absolutely. But what's really fascinating, and this speaks volumes about Wendt, is how much of Norm's gold wasn't even on the page initially.
Okay, get this. Apparently something like 70%, 70, of Norm's best lines ad-libbed.
Incredible, right. All that Second City improv training coming through.
Chicago's finest.
The writers apparently got so comfortable with it, they'd literally write Norm joke here in the script.
Just trusting him to nail it.
Yeah.
Every time.
It shows amazing comedic instinct, you know, and just knowing that character inside and out, his timing, that sort of weary humor, it all clicked.
Yeah. It really makes you think about casting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How much an actor brings beyond just saying the lines.
And Les Charles, one of the co-creators, he actually talked about Wendt having this magical quality. Said they knew pretty fast they had to give Norm more to do.
Yeah, it wasn't really an accident, even if it started small. That magical quality was probably just authenticity.
So
he felt real.
Like a guy you actually know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which brings up that whole nature versus nurture thing for characters, How much is the writing? How much is the actor? Here, it seems like a perfect storm.
And then the greeting. Norm, you can't even think about Cheers without hearing that, can you?
Nope. It's Pavlovian for TV fans.
And it wasn't just dreamed up by the writers either.
No. And this is a great little tidbit. It came from a real regular at the Bull and Finch pub in Boston.
The actual bar that inspired the show?
Yep. The writers saw that happen. This guy walks in, everyone yells his name, and they knew, okay, that feeling, that camaraderie, that needs to be in the show.
It just became this symbol. Belonging.
And it wasn't static either. That's what I find interesting. Over 11 seasons, it became this amazing running gag.
How so? What changed?
Well, just a little variations. Sometimes it was booming, happy to see you. Other times, maybe a bit more sympathetic, depending on what Norm was dealing with.
Like a shorthand?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A shorthand for his relationship at the bar, with the audience even. It showed that sense of community the show did so well.
Okay, so we know how Norm came to be, the character, the actor's input, but what about actually making the show, filming it?
Right, the live audience factor.
Yeah.
Every Friday night, no safety net of a laugh track.
That must have created some pressure.
Huge pressure, but also huge energy.
Right.
And it gave them instant feedback. There's this great story, I think it was season 4, the beer volcano incident.
Oh, the beer volcano. Tell me about that. I vaguely remember the line.
So Norm has this line about his dream invention, right?
Oh.
A beer volcano. He delivers it. Crickets. Total silence from the live audience. Just bombed.
Ouch. It's gonna sting.
Yeah, but here's the cool part. During the break, Wendt and Ted Danson, they didn't just shrug it off. They stayed out there. On stage.
Really?
Yeah, working the line, trying different timings, different inflections, just tweaking it. Then they do the next take. Huge laugh. Brought the house down.
Wow. That's dedication. That's craft.
It really is. Shows their commitment. And speaking of beer, Norm's always got one in his hand.
Always. How much was he actually drinking?
Well, not actual beer, usually. Mostly near beer, non-alcoholic stuff, sometimes even apple juice, apparently.
TV magic.
But get this, even drinking near beer, by season 5 or so, He was apparently putting away up to 50 glasses per taping.
50? That's a lot of liquid.
Yeah. Even non-alcoholic, that's a feat,
Yeah.
which led to the famous spit bucket negotiation.
Right. He joked about playing an alcoholic, not wanting to become one. Smart move.
Totally practical. But, while the drinking was played for laughs constantly,
Yeah.
the show didn't completely shy away from the darker side of it, the reality of Norm's situation.
That's true. They did handle it with some nuance, didn't they, for a sitcom back then?
Yeah, surprisingly thoughtful, really.
Yeah.
You had episodes where he genuinely tried to cut back or quit.
And the impact on his marriage to Vera, even though we never saw her, you felt it.
Right. And Wendt was key there. He could deliver the joke,
Yeah.
but you could also see a little flicker of something else. Pain, maybe, behind the eyes.
The vulnerability under the humor.
Exactly. Kind of makes you think about what sitcoms can do,
Yeah.
tackle heavier stuff within that funny framework.
So Cheers wraps up in 93. Massive hit, 11 seasons. How does George Wendt avoid just being Norm forever, that typecasting trap?
He was smart about it. Pretty versatile, actually. He jumped into voice work. The Simpsons, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Broadway famously played Edna Turnblad in Hairspray. Big shift there.
Totally different energy.
And he went back to his roots, too. Toured with Second City again, doing improv.
Kept those muscles sharp.
Right. It showed he was more than just the guy on the bar stool.
I love his guest spot on The Simpsons, though. Playing Homer's bowling buddy, named George.
It's perfect, isn't it? So meta. A little nod to Norm, but still him.
Yeah.
And then to show real range, he did drama, too. Stephen King's The Stand. People who only knew him as Norm might have been surprised.
Definitely showed another side. But still, it's for so many people.
He's Norm. Oh, absolutely. And that was crystal clear a few years back, 2019, when he and Danson did that Cheers sketch on Colbert Show.
What happened?
The second Wendt walked out,
Cool.
the audience just erupted spontaneously. Norm! Just this huge, unified chant. Wasn't planned, wasn't prompted, just pure, decades-long affection pouring out.
Wow. That says it all, doesn't it? The connection people felt.
It really does. Deep cultural root there.
All right, let's switch gears a bit. We've got some questions from listeners.
Okay, shoot.
This one's from @TV Trivia Tom. Did George Wendt ever turn down any major roles?
Ooh, good question. And yes, he did. A big one, actually. Early on, way back in 1975, he apparently had a shot at being in the original cast of Saturday Night Live.
No way. SNL 75.
Yep. But he chose to stick with Second City in Chicago instead. Shows his dedication to improv, I guess.
Wow. Imagine that alternate timeline. Okay, next one from @SitcomSally. Was Norm based on a real person?
Ah, the origin question.
Oh.
Well, it's not quite a straight yes or no.
Okay.
There wasn't one single guy named Norm they copied. But the writers definitely drew inspiration from observing regulars in Boston bars. Several different guys, maybe.
Sort of a composite.
Exactly. A composite blended with George Wendt's own natural charm, that kind of lovable everyman thing he does so well. So bits of reality mixed with Wendt himself.
Makes sense. Okay, ready for a little game?
Uh-oh. Let's hear it.
It's time for Norm or Not. I'm going to test your knowledge, and maybe the listeners too, on some possibly obscure George Wendt roles.
Okay, I'm ready. Or I think I am. Bring it on.
All right. First one. Did George Wendt voice a philosophical badger in a direct-to-video animated film called The Badger's Burden?
A philosophical badger, voiced by George Wendt. It feels unlikely, I would say. Not
Correct. That was actually Patrick Stewart. Nicely done.
you. Okay.
Next. Did George Wendt play a competitive eater in a mockumentary called Gutbusters?
Gutbusters.
Yeah.
Competitive eater. Wendt. I could almost see that one, the humor potential.
Yeah.
But is it too obvious? I'm going to guess not.
You are correct again. That was a fictional scenario. I might have embellished that one.
Uh-huh. Okay.
How about this? Did George Wendt star in a short-lived sitcom where he played a quirky librarian?
Quirky librarian. Wendt. He can play quirky.
Yeah.
But a whole sitcom.
Feels
like I would have heard of that. Going with not.
Correct. Bob Newhart territory there with Bob. Okay, two more. Did George Wendt have a recurring role on CSI as a disgruntled lab technician?
Ooh, CSI. Gritty. Wendt as a lab tech. Feels like a stretch from Norm. Disgruntled, maybe? Nah. I'm saying not right from
I ain't
broad.
digging. That was Gary Darden's character mostly. Okay, last one. Did George Wendt play the mayor of a small town obsessed with cheese in a quirky independent film?
Mayor. Cheese obsession.
Yeah.
Indie film. It sounds perfectly weird enough to be true, but you've been tricky. I'm sticking with a pattern, not.
You got it. Another figment of my imagination. Well played. You know your Wendt, or perhaps my fiction.
That was fun, though. A good mental workout.
So, pulling ourselves back from imaginary cheese mayors, as we wrap up this deep dive, it's just so clear, isn't it? George Wendt didn't just play Norm. He built him.
You really did. That timing, the subtle delivery, but also that hint of something deeper underneath. He made Norm feel like someone real, someone you genuinely want to see walk into your local.
Yeah, and Norm's whole philosophy, sitting there on the bar stool, sometimes it sounded simple, but often there was this little nugget of, well, maybe not wisdom, but relatable truth.
Comfort, maybe.
Yeah.
Connection. Just getting through the day with a friendly face
Yeah.
and a beer. There's something very human in that.
If you really want to see that comedic genius in action, what's a good episode to revisit?
Oh, Season 5, Episode 3, The Beer is Food Debate. It's just classic Norm, classic Wendt, classic Cheers writing, all firing perfectly.
Good recommendation. Okay, well, I think it's about last call for us on this one.
Time to close up shop.
So let's raise a virtual glass to George Wendt and to Norm Peterson. Thanks for pulling up a chair with us.
Cheers.
And maybe here's something to mull over as you go. Think about those recurring characters in the shows you love. The ones who maybe aren't the main stars, but they're always there. What makes them stick with you? And what might they be saying about us or our world without us even really noticing?